Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are coming into you hot on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us right now on iTunes, go ahead and leave a 5-star review. It won't take long. Here's a nice review from hotels.com sucks. She is great. Farts. That'd be great. And he wrote, funny, smart, and beautiful. Love CM. Well, thank you so much. Hotels.com sucks. I have no beef with hotels.com. You know what I do like? Doing stand-up. Yes. The domestic terrorist tour. It's just gonna keep continuing on and on, I think, until I stop doing stand-up. But I got some dates coming up for you. I will be doing stand-up this Saturday at Tiff's Ale House, the Dojo of Comedy, in Morris Plains, New Jersey. I believe that's on Speedwell Avenue. So check that out. I'll be headlining. That's going to be a really great show. A couple fun special guests will be there as well. And then you can see Comedians of the Compound. We're going to be in Bethel, Pennsylvania at the Pat Garrett Amphitheater, June 18th. And then some dates on the Jersey Shore coming up in July. Then I'm going to be definitely in Vegas with Comedians of the Compound, September 10th and 11th. So if you want to make your fall plans now, get on it. And then I'll be back in Dallas at Hyenas. I love that club. September 17th and 18th. And I'm updating my website. I'm getting all the ticket links in there. So if you don't see them right away, I'll get them in there soon. This episode is brought to you by Cushy Dreams. They are my go-to for all things CBD products. I'm going to talk to you guys about Cushy Dreams. They specialize in full premium smokable CBD. They have CBD-rich hemp flower, also known as bud, in cans and pre-roll CBD joints. I really like them. It's helped me a lot with my anxiety, especially over the last year as things have been weird. I really like the pre-rolled joints because they're tidy and they're small. And like, I love these 5-packs. Boom. The packaging is like really sleek. You can see everything is handmade. It's not like machine made or like shitty or like missing the mark. It's all very, very quality packaging, quality everything. In fact, I have like a little one right here. Oh, I would light it up, but my lighter was moved. It's good. It's really good. I swear. No, it helps me with my anxiety. It calms me down. I like that they have different indica sativa blends. So if you want to be a little bit more up, maybe you do an energy or a hustle. But if you want to relax before bed, do like dream or peace, or relax. And whatever you want to do, Cushy Dreams has your back. You can enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. There's under 0.3% THC in these products. It's cannabis that ships directly to you. It's legal in all 50 states. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Looks and smells just like real weed, high quality marijuana, but it's not. It's not going to get you high. They do constantly a lot of independent lab tests to ensure compliance and purity. And you can see all these results on their website, cushydreams.com, Kushy dreams.com. They take the artisan approach. Every run is in a small batch. And best of all, it's grown here in the USA. I really like the pre-rolls. But if you're somebody who likes to smoke out of a little bowl or an apple or whatever, kick it old school, you can do that too. Go to cushydreams.com, Kushy dreams.com, and at the checkout, use promo code CMP to get 20% off every order. Smoke your CBD, guys, and relax. Yay! I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast today. We've been buds for years. We go way back. We have a comedy bond. We have other things in common, like enjoy being around porn stars. I'm making him sound like he himself is a porn star, but he's not. He's a comedian. He's a poker player. He has a podcast with Al Martin called the Broadway Comedy Club Podcast and a poker podcast. called Tournament Poker Edge podcast, which comes out every Friday. So excited to have him here. Clayton Fletcher.
Hey, Chrissie. Great to
Yay!
see you. How's it going?
Good to see you too. I love your glamorous background.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
that?
Gotta keep it shimmery. You know,
It looks like you could either be in like an orthodontist office or you're at a child's birthday party. You just had to find a corner and do this pod.
yeah, there's like 55 screaming children around, but somehow I muted them just so you and I could talk. No, I set this up to like kind of make my home a little more festive because, you know, as probably most people know, a lot of comedy in the last year has been over Zoom. And I just hated having my stupid white wall in the background. And I also hate kind of like the preset, like, you know,
The
Zoom
fake backgrounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're not believable. It's like
Cartoon brick wall. Yeah.
it's like no way is your place that nice or spacious or tidy. Like they should really have a fake background that's like a little bit messy, as most
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, so I went with the dollar store shimmer and shine behind me. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Mine's are like cushy, mushy.
Yeah, yours looks nice too. It looks like a VIP room in a strip club or something. I like it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what I like.
good vibes.
Okay,
Good
I should
vibes.
have like a circular ottoman or something
Yeah, you should.
that rotates. Yeah, you had your glasses on before and you weren't sure whether to do like glasses on or off. And I said, if you have a really good point to make, you should just put them on for emphasis because everyone knows, you know, you trust somebody with glasses.
Yeah, so I decided not to put them on yet because
Okay,
you know,
let's
you said
wait.
it's better if people can see my face, those who are watching. So if I have something really smart to say, I'm gonna pop the glasses on and really have an impact. Yeah. So be ready for that.
Yeah, I wear glasses too, but I'm extremely nearsighted. I'm like a negative 8.0 and 8.5 prescriptions. I'm very nearsighted, and like my eye doctor was like, yeah. I was like, every time I'm in there, like every year, I'm like, what should I get LASIK? And she was like, girl, you should have got it 5 years ago when you were first asking me about it. She was like, you're not getting younger, and I guess once you hit 40, you're gonna need reading glasses anyway, she said. So she's like, get it. If you're gonna get it ASAP. And then I don't know.
I
And then
never
started
wanted
feel
to get
bad.
it, Chrissy. I always thought, you know, somebody shooting laser beams into my eyeballs just didn't sound good to me. I figure I can just wear glasses if I need to see something.
Oh, but it's so safe, they said. And
Yeah.
there's two different kinds of laser eye surgery. One is like more experimental, but you like recover quicker from it. And I'm like, again, I don't want to be the one time this guy fucks up. You know, I don't want to be the one time that somebody, spills coffee on themselves, backs into the machine goes haywire, and then I'm a statistic.
Or he had like a fight with his wife that morning and his head's not in the game. You know, he's like, just another eyeball, but, you know, he's still thinking about, you know, whether he was supposed to load the dishwasher properly that morning. You know, you don't want to take those kind of chances. You just don't.
Right. And it's like, oh, well, it's this machine's doing it. But yeah, but like who's operating the machine?
Right. It's human error. Also, you know, glasses are hot. I like glasses. Nothing wrong with wearing glasses.
Mine are pretty thick. I mean, they're
so
pretty
hot.
as long as I don't like go to the side, you know, like if you look at them, you can see. But yes, they are. When I'm feeling like I do feel kind of smart when I wear them, you know, it's good to have options.
I'm sure a lot of your listeners have like a hot librarian fantasy anyway. So put the hair up, put the glasses on. You'll be a real crowd pleaser with that.
Please, if you are currently touching yourself, thinking about me wearing glasses, just go ahead and continue.
Does that include me or no? I just need to know.
Oh, sure. You can be part of it.
All right,
you can
cool.
be part of the fantasy. Look, your book is overdue. I haven't even set foot in a library in at least 10 years. I don't think. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Well, they're open again. So get your Dewey Decimal on.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy having my own library. Like, as you can see, I have an array of books that I have not read yet. And some that I have. And stuffed animals. Don't look at those.
You haven't read those either?
Clayton, the last time I saw you, we bumped into each other in the most unsuspecting of places. It was in an elevator last January. at the 2020 AVN Awards. I was there to interview porn stars, and you were there to crush it at poker, I assume.
Yeah, so I was in town for a few different things. I didn't actually realize at now the now defunct Hard Rock Hotel, right?
Yeah,
That's where it was, and now it's called the
the
Mohegan
Virgin. Or
Sun.
no,
But
isn't it
yeah,
good called? I forget.
Virgin bought it,
Yeah.
but the Mohegan Sun branded. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But yeah, we were there, and I was like, what are the chances that I would see somebody here that I actually know? I actually ran into a lot of people I knew that week. So there was
Really?
a
Were they?
big poker tournament, then the Super Bowl, and then Michael Somerville and I were at Brad Garrett's comedy club. So
Oh,
yeah, so I do poker and comedy. So Vegas is kind of like the perfect place for me to go. But no one believes me when I tell them this. When I booked that hotel, I didn't realize that it was during the adult.
wow. How convenient. Perfect thing to tell a wife or girlfriend. I had no
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
idea.
I just said, what a coincidence. Now I'm surrounded by horny naked people, but yeah, I kept my eyes on the prize, and
What came first, comedy or poker?
definitely poker. My mother was a poker player, and my brothers and I used to play around the kitchen table with my
Oh
mom,
my
and we would
God.
actually wager our allowance. And if you lost, you didn't
My
get another.
God.
Yeah, you didn't
Not
get more
only did
money.
she give you an allowance, but she let you bet with it.
And she'd take it away if she beat us, and she never let us win. I mean, if we won fair and
She's like,
square,
the house
okay.
always wins. Now clean your
Yeah,
fucking
the
room.
house always. Yeah, and my mother was kind of a shark. So yeah,
Wow.
we would talk about poker strategy. Back then, the game was 7 card stud. Now it's Texas Hold'em. But we used to play other games too, like backgammon, Monopoly, and many times for real money. Not a lot, but when you're 9, 10 years old, of course, you know that any amount of money
Wow.
is a lot. And in the meantime, my father was a jazz musician, a bass player. So I had
What
a
a
really
cool
unusual childhood. Yeah, I
family.
had the weirdest family. I mean, we had the poker game upstairs with all the degenerates and the crazy people, and then we had like the jazz musicians downstairs. We had a music room in the basement. So yeah,
That is really
no shortage
cool,
of.
Clayton. Wow.
Yeah. So my dad was teaching me music. My mother was teaching me game theory, and so I eventually got into music and acting, and which kind of led to doing stand up because of all types of performing. I've tried everything. I've been an actor, a singer, even a dancer at one point. I just I
That's why you
enjoy.
were there for AVN. I get it.
Yeah,
You're like, hey, if I don't win at poker, I'm going to go on to plan B.
just shaking my moneymaker, Christy. That's all you
Mm-hmm.
got to do. Yeah. So I kind of had a long career path. But even when I first started acting, I moved to New York. I had a bachelor's degree in theater, and I was going to try to get to Broadway. But a couple of
Oh,
nights a week, I would take the bus to Atlantic City and play like $50 tournaments at the Trump Taj Mahal.
wow.
And I won a few of those, and kind of kept me afloat and allowed me to not have to get a day job, as it were, in between acting gigs. So yeah, I always kind of used gambling as like another source of income.
When did you know that you were good at gambling?
Well, okay, so in 6th grade, I invented a game which was basically 2 pieces of paper. One of them had numbers on it, and the other one was to cover those numbers and had little windows, like an advent calendar or something. Like you open it.
Yes, the little like lame chocolates inside.
Yeah. So I would let the kids in the 6th grade or maybe 5th grade bet me 20 cents. And if they opened the window that had 80 cents, they won 80 cents. If they opened the window that said zero, it was all rigged in the sense that if enough people played, I would eventually win all the money. But I
Oh,
would make
wow.
sure that if anybody ever won 80 cents from me, they would go and tell the other kids on the playground, Fletcher has this game that you can play with your lunch money. So I kind of figured out kind of the math behind like the statistics and stuff with
Wow.
with poker and stuff at a very young age, and I was always just sort of interested in it. I would watch videos about craps or blackjack and just try to understand gambling as best I could. But yeah, obviously poker is the game to play because you don't actually play against the house. You play against the other players, and the house takes a fee. So it's a better game.
It seems like somebody, right? Like you're in poker and you do comedy, both of which require very strong observational skills and like a close kind of like knowledge and understanding of people. because you both, it's like with comedy, it's like talk about what you know, and what you know is like what you observe closely. And it's like it's interesting how the two are related. Like you need the same set of strengths.
100%. And it's good that you see that. A lot of times people don't see how these two things are related, but the key skill in both to me is reading the audience. The only difference is in comedy, we try to give the audience what we think they want a lot of the time. And in poker, you try to figure out what they want and then disappoint them as best you can.
So really, poker is similar to how you are in bed. I get it.
Yeah, what do you want? No, teasing and denial. That's
What
it.
do you want? No, I'm going to sleep. See ya, mom. No.
Cut that off.
Gross. Oh, I don't know why I said mom. Maybe because that's how you learned. That's really neat. So when did you start? Did your mom teach you about like tells, or is that something you learned just from watching people?
Yeah, so that wasn't really a huge part of the game. Like different forms of poker have different skills required. And because I grew up on 7-card stud, that's really more about just remembering what cards were already thrown away and like just kind of learning how to compartmentalize in your mind so that you're not looking for the ace of clubs if the player 3 seats away from you already threw it away. So that's really more what you concentrate on in 7-card
Wow.
stud. But with other games like Texas Hold'em or especially 5-card draw, tells become really important. And for those who don't know, a tell is when you have an idea of whether another person at the table is happy or nervous or excited, kind of based on what's going on at the table. And you can find different ways, like whether their heart is beating really fast or whether they're fidgeting with their feet or, scratching their ear or whatever. And in the movies, this is all really overdone, like that there's some magic skill of figuring out, like in Rounders, like if he eats the Oreo cookie, he's bluffing or something like that. Usually people's tells are much more subtle than that. But yeah, over the years, I read a lot of books on the subject and just kind of became an expert in body language in general. And so that was a big part of my development as a poker player. But at the end of the day, it's really about the numbers. And then if a decision is really close, I might use a tell to break the tie. But if the numbers are overwhelmingly in this way, but the guy happens to be scratching his ear, I'm not going to change. Yeah, I'm not going to change based on that one little thing.
Okay, so besides ear scratching, what are some other like poker tells that you see commonly?
Yeah, sure, I'll give you one. So in Texas Hold'em, you get 2 cards in your hand and then 3 cards all at once come on the table. That's called the flop. So most players, when the flop comes out, they're looking at it. Suppose you had a pair of 5s. Your starting cards are 2 5s. When that flop comes, you really want to see a 5 because 3 5s is a very strong hand. Okay. So if you happen to see one, it's almost like you looked right into the sun. You are very likely to look away from the table immediately.
Really?
Because you're going to see that 5 and be like, oh my God, I just got my card. Okay. So what I'll do is when
looking away from the table.
It's usually a sign of strength, unless it's a really experienced professional player that, what we'll do is I know I have a tendency to look away when I hit my card because that's human nature. So sometimes when I don't hit my card, I'll look away just in case somebody's watching me. You kind of make it. But if you're playing against somebody that's not that great and doesn't really think about these things, like watching that person look away sharply from the table, that usually means they are so excited about what they just saw, they don't even want to look at it again because they're afraid that you're going to be able to see on their face how excited they are. So we all are trying to hide how we feel, right? So that's a good one that you can also use kind of in real life. If you make eye contact with a man and he suddenly looks away from you, that man is like, oh my, that's the same thing. Like I just looked at the sun. I mean, she's so hot. I'm like, oh my God, I have to get my courage to go talk to her or get my thoughts together or whatever. So it's kind of the same thing.
Like you got caught.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, she caught me looking,
I do that a lot in New York City. Like I will be like, oh, that crackhead caught me watching him do heroin. I can't look at him again because he's going to offer me some or.
Yeah, maybe not try to engage the crackhead. So yeah, same thing. So likewise, if you're trying to figure out how the heck you're going to win this hand, right? You have 2 5s and there's like a 7 and a queen and a king. you might stare at that same board for a while and be like, well, I guess if there's like another 6 or something that you're trying to figure out, is there any chance that I can make a good hand with these 3 cards? Then you're more likely to actually stare at the board for a little bit longer. So typically a player that's like really looking doesn't have much, and a player who just can't look has something really good. So those are the kind of little things
Ooh.
that you look for. But again, it's really about the numbers. And then these little things can kind of break the tie if it's close.
Yeah, of course you don't want to give away all your secrets in case any opponents are watching. I doubt it. I don't think I've done any gambling themed episodes at all
I
yet.
welcome any opponent who wants to play poker. So
Yeah.
come on at it. I've done pretty well in poker. I don't know if people listening to this might not know who I am, but if they watch a lot of ESPN, they've probably seen me on the World Series of Poker. I've finished in the top 100 twice in the main event, and it attracts about 8,000 players.
Wow.
So the first time I got like 94th or something, and I got like $60,000.
Wow. When was that?
That would have been 2015, I guess. And then just a few years ago, I got 27th place, which paid
Damn.
$250,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of like girls hitting you up after that? Or dudes?
People I haven't talked to in years.
Yeah, like
you
oh
know.
my God. I for some reason I really want to reconnect with Clayton. I feel like I have ignored this friendship.
Yeah, maybe I should reach out to him. By the way, you know how cute I always thought you were. Yeah, that happened.
There's something about all this money that really makes you attractive.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm the one who got away, right?
Yeah.
But it's not always like that. I mean, I played the main event 9 times in my career. It's a $10,000 buy-in.
Damn. So you have to have money to even be considered.
Yeah, well, there are a couple ways you can get in. Like some people have sponsorships. This website or that website,
like a Make-A-Wish or something.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish Foundation. There are like every year there's a story of somebody who's like dying of cancer, and his dying wish was to play the main event. So all his friends got together.
Like either pay to have this diabetic leg removed or enter me into this tournament.
I've always wanted to play the tournament.
Yeah.
But and they have satellite tournaments, which basically is a smaller buy-in, maybe like $1,000 or $500, where every time they get to 10,000 in the prize pool, that's somebody's buy-in to the main event. So a satellite's a tournament where you can get into a bigger tournament by winning a smaller one. So there are ways, like you don't actually always have to shell out $10K out of your pocket. I know not everybody has that, but for some people they'll go to Vegas and play a ton of satellites just trying to get into the main event. And so for those players, just being there is like a dream come true, much less making it to, as close to the end that I got. The year I won $250,000, that sounds like a lot of money, right? But the winner won like $8 million.
Oh my God.
So when you get
he
that
definitely
close,
had a lot of friends trying to reconnect after that.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you get that close to 8 million, a small part of you is actually disappointed that you just won $250,000. So that's where poker kind of messes with your mind. Like back in the 90s, I had Apple computer stock, and it had like gone up like 4,000% or something, and I sold it. Now, if I would have just kept it all these years, I'd probably be a multimillionaire now.
Oh man.
But did I make a mistake? I made a 4,000% profit on my money. At some point you do have to cash out. So this kind of reminds me a little when you had me on for your GameStop episode that we did.
Yes.
We were talking about that.
Talking about GameStop gate.
Yeah.
And now it seems like AMC has been added to the meme stock world.
Yeah. Well, Reddit runs the stock market apparently, so that's fun.
Good for them.
Yeah, good times.
They've branched out from just like an incel watering hole.
Right. Finally, they found something they know something about.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I was like, sure, I'll buy some AMC, and then I don't know. I just sort of throw money at stuff.
Don't sell it.
Don't? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to keep pumping it. And, the best part is like, for those who didn't listen to that episode or don't know about it, what they're doing is like really just for a bigger cause. They're kind of like almost like Occupy Wall Street.
To just like fuck over the big guys, which I'm all about. Yeah.
So many big billionaire rich guys trying to, what they call short selling. So they're betting that the stock is going down. So the more we pump it up, the more money those guys lose. So it's it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
wow. That's
stick it
so
to the
neat.
man a little bit. Why not?
A million years ago, I used to work for a hedge fund, and I think it was like 2008. And it was very like much like all female assistants, all guy traders. I had like 3 analysts that I worked for, and it was such a big like learning curve. Like one boss, his name was Phil. He was like, "Oh, put me on the red eye for this flight," and I had no idea what a red eye was. So I'm looking up red eye airlines,
Red Eye
and I was just like,
Airlines.
"Oh yeah, he wants to fly red eye," and it's like JetBlue, right? And it's like you're just in that scared newbie, job place where you're like, I don't want to ask anybody questions because then they'll know that I'm retarded.
And it's already a high
Um,
pressure environment to begin
oh
with, right? I
yeah,
mean, they're not the nicest people in the
it
world.
was
It's a cutthroat
so
world. Yeah.
male. It was so
Yeah.
it was just kind of exciting. It was just like, yeah, burgers on Fridays, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. So you don't think all masculinity is toxic?
I
Then?
love even toxic masculinity. It's like I always say, I prefer toxic masculinity over no masculinity. And it was wild. Like it was 2008. So it was like, or no, it was before that. I think it was before the economic downturn. And we had this like insane Christmas party. They chartered this yacht and we went around the Virgin Gorda Islands. I had been working there just a couple months and I was like, I get to go on this. And people were inviting, you could invite your like whatever, boyfriend, fiance, whoever, +1. And I had a boyfriend at the time who I did not invite. So that was like, that's how I feel about him. He ultimately ended up cheating on me. That's fine. It all worked out. And then I just remember there's like a bottle of champagne waiting for us in our rooms. The guys got so drunk at one point, they jumped off this yacht in their tuxes. And we were all like in formal wear. And I really wanted to jump off too. That's like my biggest regret, that I didn't just also jump off. I sort of like turned to like the lady that was in charge of HR. I was like, can I jump off too? And she's like, no, the men can jump off. Like it was very old school that way.
Wow.
I should have been like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're not talking about like 1960s Mad Men here. You're just talking about like 12, 13 years ago.
This was 2000, 7, I guess.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really neat. And
only the men can jump off.
Yes, it was very much only the men. And I was like, God damn it, I should have just done it.
I mean, tuxedos are made of wool. They're going to be ruined. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing jumping in your tuxes? You can't wash.
They all got trashed and jumped off the boat. And then I remember they flew out the London office too. Like we all met up at this island. And then I remember when the yacht had like docked or whatever, and we're on this island, they had the surfboard full of caviar that they just floated over to us. Like when we were at this island, they just floated the surfboard from the boat. And I was like, I don't even fucking know what caviar is. I've never had it, but I know one thing. I'm going to eat my weight in this shit because I know it's expensive.
That's one way to get paid, right? Just like make it worthwhile for you to take all that abuse at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have some caviar.
Like, look, I don't know if this Christmas bonus is coming. I'm just going to eat all these little fishy eggs.
I mean, if you didn't know what a red eye was, you probably didn't know what caviar was.
I didn't know.
You've learned a lot since then, though. Now you know.
Yeah, and then they fired me. It's all good. It all worked out.
It did. Look at you now.
I got to go on that sweet trip. So yeah, I was going to ask you about like your recent gambling fame, which was that 250. That was probably your biggest win.
Yeah, that was my biggest victory to date. I've had some other, relatively big, 60,000 here, 80,000 there. But yeah, that was my only 6-figure score in my career, which kind of put me on the map and actually led to me getting the poker podcast. Because,
did people approach you after that?
Yeah, I mean, they did. The way they cover the main event on ESPN is they try to create storylines. And when I had a lot of chips after 3 days of play, I was one of the chip leaders. And so they started doing a story. It's like, well, there's one player in the field who plays a lot of poker, but he also has another interesting career. And they showed like clips of my stand-up and stuff like that. So it was kind of a way for them to kind of make the tournament itself a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, you were the human interest.
If you're wondering who to root for, you can either root for the guy who's going to die from cancer next month, or you can pick the comedian.
Use that money on getting your leg off. Yeah.
Or you can pick the comedian because a lot of the players are pretty unlikable. They're either just kind of like
Yeah.
boring robotic math nerds, or
I
they're even
I
worse.
feel
They're
like there's
just
like a
like,
lot of assholes in it.
yeah, it's a very I guess, yeah, to reuse the favorite word of the day, toxic. There's a lot
Ooh.
of that toxicity. And you hear a lot of women that are in poker complaining about the same things that female comedians often complain about. Is, we don't get a fair shake. It's such a bro
Wow.
culture. There's only ever one girl at a table.
Like,
A
it's
poker.
called poke her, not poke
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. There's actually a website called Poker Pow Her.
That's
So it's
is
like,
that not a porn site? It
it
must
sounds
be.
like it would be, but it's actually just promoting poker to try to attract more female players to the game. So yeah, I hear a lot of the same arguments. Like,
That's
women,
interesting.
yeah, girls will complain like, that the environment is too male, and then 97% of the players are men, and that's
Right.
statistically true. So I think that there are more than 3% of the comedy world is female, but it's certainly mostly men, right? We can agree
Yeah.
that most comedians are men. So we have like a majority in both. And the women tend to get more opportunities. Earlier, I mentioned that you could
Mm.
get a buy in to the main event through a sponsorship. Well, if you're a woman who's had any type of success in poker, especially even if you're a little bit pretty, somebody's going
Ooh,
to probably offer you
yes.
some kind of deal. Whereas if you're just a white guy in his 40s like me, nobody's banging down my door for a deal. Maybe if I had won the main event, but at that point I'd have $8 million and I wouldn't care about your stupid sponsorship anyway.
Yeah. If I were a poker player, I would just have my tits out all the time. It's like it's like you don't, it's not like with comedy where they have to listen to you and like get a whole, like, you know what I mean? It's an interaction going with poker. It's just like, it's all just skill. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you
Yeah. I mean,
say.
yeah, and
So,
also the World Series of Poker normally takes place in the summertime in Vegas. Although this year it's in the fall, but only because of COVID. Normally it's in July. So you already have a good excuse to be half naked anyway. And now it might give you an edge over your opponents. You do see quite a few women showing off what God gave them or what they
yes.
bought.
If you're not, you're stupid, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's giving me an edge. Now everybody at the table's edging it.
Yeah.
Everyone's distracted. He got hard. His cards moved. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's
I
a
feel
lot.
like
There's a
I
lot
might
to it.
transition
Yeah, but
careers
I mean,
here.
I kind of sympathize. I sort of got poker famous, if you will, which is not famous at all, but it's within the tiny world of the poker community. For an article that I wrote for a website called 2plus2, which is a gambling site, and I talked about how we could attract
Ooh.
more women to the main event and into poker in general, and just kind of like basic things like generally. And I know there are tons of exceptions, so no hate mail, okay? I know some women love aggressive language and body odor and sexist remarks, but
Yeah.
most women don't. So
And if
if
you
we,
do, you should like, yeah, you'll probably get into comedy. And that's the
yeah,
thing is like, not that you don't have a right to complain, but like, come on, if you're in an industry that's like appeals to typically male strengths, which is like, right, like what logical minded compartmentalization, numbers, stats, all that working fast, like that's poker. Okay. And then you have like comedy, which is like, right, like a lot of men have that more like peacocky energy, like performative, splashy, like, yes, high observational skills. But like women have different observational skills in comedy where it's like they really can get to the nuggets of like relationships, and they're very observant when it comes to people. So it's interesting. I think I would say it's harder to like be a woman in poker because that's so like male. That
yeah.
seems even more male to me.
Well, what you see generally is that the women who are in poker and comedy tend to adopt what would normally be considered more masculine traits. They would be louder, right? Like if I told you someone was being extremely boisterous and aggressive and loud, and I didn't tell you the sex of that person, but you were allowed to bet me $1,000, was it a man or a woman? Everybody in the world would bet man, right?
Yeah,
Most
or
loud,
Italian. Yeah.
right? Or just Sicilian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find that a lot of the women that join these male worlds become more masculine, or maybe they were already drawn to it because they have those traits to begin with. That's why I always respected comedians like yourself. You always maintain your femininity when you're on stage. You're hilarious, but I don't feel like you're trying to be quote unquote manly.
Right.
If I'm not going to get canceled for even using that word because gender is a construct, but we all know what I mean when I say masculine or manly. I think there's a way, or like Rita Rudner back in the day. I mean, she was kind of to me, I would be surprised if she's not one of your role models, because
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
like,
you embrace your.
when you break it down, like, what are the male strengths in comedy that can't be shared by females? It's like, maybe is it bluntness? Is it like telling it like it is? Whereas maybe women have the tendency to like sugarcoat something, or like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or like, oh, they're maybe women are more nurturing, which keeps them from being like bluntly obvious or
Yeah,
bluntly honest.
or demure, right? Like if I described a person as demure and I didn't say it's a man or a woman, like, are you going to guess man? No, that's a
Right.
female, typically a female trait. Can a man be demure? I suppose.
But you
I
would
don't know.
call him a beta. You would be like, oh, it's a demure man, Bill
Yeah, a
Gates.
demure
Yeah.
man. And a demure man is probably not performing stand up.
Yeah.
But if he is, I guarantee he's got a Netflix special, because that's
Right.
just
You
what's
think of
going
like
on.
maybe like, yeah, it's Dimitri Martin. You'd say he's more like quirky and maybe on the quieter side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Demure,
So,
I'm like picturing somebody with like a cat, you know. Just
yeah. And, I'm not knocking that. Like, live your life however you want. I'm just saying, like, kind of a macro view. This is what's going on in the industry. But I was on the side of the women because basically I'd like to see the game grow. And one area of growth that is like clearly untapped potential is the female market. Like, there just aren't that many women or girls that would be comfortable even walking
mm,
into the environment of like this frat boy atmosphere of the poker room. It's like kind of walking into a locker room
yeah,
or
or like a
something.
trading floor, or like
Yeah,
some
a construction
comedy.
site,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like anything
Oh,
that's like very.
yes.
She's
I
getting
love it.
turned
These are all
on.
my favorite places.
Yeah.
And if there were more women playing poker and maybe they were hot and they they knew how to dress, like, that can only help viewership.
Yeah, for sure. So if there are any women going far in the tournament, anytime a woman has a lot of chips, she gets camera time. So
Yeah.
that's what the coverage is. It's like, look at this beautiful woman from Norway who also is our chip leader right now, but isn't she pretty? And it's kind of like, that's also a problem, because we really want equality. We shouldn't be talking
Isn't
about which.
yeah, that's great.
Right? I mean, do we want it to be about that, or do we want it to be about she's one of the best players in the world? I mean,
Think
it's
about it. If you have a male announcer who's like, maybe they're a little older, it's like they are noticing that they're pretty. So that's
yeah,
just top of mind, you know? But if you have a younger person that's maybe more like
woke.
PC or woke,
Yeah,
right? They're going to be like, well, even if I find her pretty, I can't say that because I don't want it to sound like that's her only strength. And, like, you have more checks, more filters going on, where an older
right.
guy is going to be like, he's pretty. I'm saying
Yeah,
what I'm seeing.
yeah. She's got all the chips. Not bad looking either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonder what she's doing after the game.
Easy
That's
on
a.
the eyes. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go talk to her. I'm gonna go
yeah.
send her Cosmo.
But what happens, I think, in comedy and in poker is the women who stick around and tend to be better on average than the average man.
Wow.
So I believe that, especially in poker, like if I see a female at my table, uh, I'm usually thinking, oh, she probably knows how to play. If she's in this world, putting up with all the BS she has to face on a day-to-day basis in this world, she probably knows that it's worth her time and energy to get this money,
Mm,
And likewise, I mean, if I meet a brand new comic and, it's a girl, she might just be trying it or something because, she saw Amy Schumer or somebody on TV.
right.
Like, I might not immediately assume that she's great at comedy, but any woman that's been in comedy for more than like 5 or 6 years, they're all funny, because you're not going to want to be here with all of us
No,
disgusting pigs unless you're getting some kind of reward on stage.
there's
That's just how it
so
is.
much to keep you out of it. Like, it's difficult. Like, there's pluses in mind. Every group has like their privilege, right? Like, if you are a woman in comedy, just like a woman in poker, maybe you do get more opportunities, but maybe low key you face like real sexism because the gatekeepers are older men with this old school mentality of like, yeah, you're cute, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
pick you.
Yeah, I mean, men
Um,
are funnier, so
right, of
yeah, I
course.
mean, you're cute and all, but
Yeah.
men are the real comedians. Yeah, so you get that, and you get that same sort of like sexism in poker as well. But yeah, I basically wrote this article that kind of went poker viral, which
Ooh,
equates to like
what
maybe
website was it on? Hold on, let me
two,
look it up.
yeah, 2+2. This would have been like probably back in 2015. And
Ooh,
basically, I was kind of encouraging the men to be more welcoming to women who might be exploring getting into poker, and just make the environment a little bit less aggressive and
how did that go over?
yeah. So a lot of people were with me because ultimately the game has to grow in order for us to keep making money. Like if all that's left is like the 100 best players in the world,
Mhm.
no one's actually going to win because everybody will know what to do. And what you really need for poker to grow is new, fresh blood in the water, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, one way to do that is
Is
just
get
to
women who are on their period. That's a quick way. Just get them in the water.
talk about a red eye.
Yeah.
I should have put the glasses on for that one.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, you
So
guys should like get on TikTok. That's my answer for everybody when they say like, how do we get new people in TikTok?
yeah, TikTok's it, right? All the young people are on TikTok. That's their social media of choice. Yeah, so so there was some backlash, people calling me a beta, a simp, a cuck, because anytime you say anything nice about women or you try to stand up for
Yeah.
women, there's going to be that, like quote unquote alpha male backlash or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't saying that we all have to be like, catering to the women. I'm just saying, guys, put on some freaking deodorant, you
Oof.
know?
Okay, so the smell is bad.
Yeah, so sometimes you'll be at a table, and what
Plus
I've
they're
learned,
sweating too. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like
yeah.
Vegas in the summer. So you really have to take care of like your personal hygiene. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't know this scientific fact. Here, perfect time for this. I'm about to share
Yes.
scientific fact with you now. So
Ooh.
I'll wear the glasses for this part. Women have 70% more olfactory senses than men do, which basically means women are more sensitive to smell than men
Oh
are.
my God. This really like fills in so many gaps. That like makes so much sense because like I'm just like, does my boyfriend cannot smell, he can't see dirt, he can't smell dirt, he just doesn't like, I don't know. Guys, yeah, you just don't notice.
It doesn't bother us. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember specifically one night when I was in high school. I used to play basketball in high school. I was on the high school basketball team, and this girl that I was dating from another school, she walked into our gym and she's like, "Oh my God, this gym smells horrible. Like, what? None of the guys on your basketball team ever take a shower?" And I'm like, "I have been practicing here every day for the last 3 years, and I've never
Wow.
ever noticed what you're talking about." And she was like, "I can't stay in." She actually had to leave
Oh my God.
the gym, and I it just showed me. I was like, "Well, how do the cheerleaders handle it?" Like, I don't know. Maybe they
Oh
just
my
smell each other's
God.
perfume or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely learned that you just have to be a little bit more, unless we don't really care. Like if we want the game to be 97% male, then we can be as toxic and smelly as we want. But if we really want to,
Yeah.
grow the game in that way, then, and I think most players would agree that it's a good thing if more women start to play poker. So
Right. It's either you go after like just young people in general, or you're like, okay, we got to have a strong way to get just new guys in. It's like you got to get new people in. So whether it's like men and women or just men, like you have to figure out how to tap
yeah,
into that.
yeah. I mean, it's not the NFL. Like, if it's a game where being larger and stronger had some kind of, edge, then yeah, I would understand. Like, well, let's not worry about trying to attract women to become, linebackers in the
Mm,
NFL. Like, no one's really trying to do that, right? Because hardly any men are big enough to be linebackers in the NFL, much less women. You're just generally smaller, right?
yeah.
So, but in poker, it doesn't make a difference, like how many bench presses you can do or whatever, right? It's a brain game. So, and so many women really do great in the chess world. So what's the difference? Is it the gambling? Is it
Hmm.
the risk component? Is it the fact that
Maybe.
women are risk
Yeah.
averse and they don't want to gamble money they could spend on shoes and handbags? Because I think that's sexist, but maybe
Yes.
that's what it is.
At this very same hedge fund party, yeah, we went. There was this casino in the hotel. Yeah, I think it was a Four Seasons or whatever. And I put like $100 on the roulette table. Or no, I won $100 from the roulette table. And then I was like, I'm done. I went and like bought a purse, and I was like, this is great. Like I like to spend my money on what I can see. But now as I get older, I am like into more like crypto and stocks.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
getting less materialistic.
that's good because probably the hardcore feminists were coming at you for that spending habit, setting them
I
back
think
by
it's
buying
just part of
shoes.
like getting older. You're like, oh, you buy enough purses over time. You're like, I know that this will make me happy very temporarily, and then it'll be like, what's the next thing that I'm getting excited to want to buy? And you're like, okay, it's fleeting. So what are the sources of happiness that like stick around a little longer?
Well, if you're into crypto and you don't want to spend all your money on shoes and handbags, I have a coin that you can look into. It's called Theta.
Theta? What's
Yeah,
theta?
Theta. And I've been investing in Theta for a little bit now, and it's doing quite well, and it's got a lot of heavy hitters
Ooh,
behind it, like one of the founders of YouTube
okay.
is behind it. So I mean, it's not like some off the wall fake coin, and it seems to have an actual purpose as far as like the streaming platforms and the technology behind it with blockchain. So I mean, I don't want to get too nerdy here, even though I do have my
Yeah,
glasses
the
on
glasses
still.
are on.
Yeah,
It's off the rails now.
but yeah, if people are out there into crypto and you're looking for an alternative to Bitcoin, I would
Okay.
say look into Theta and Theta Fuel, which is
Ooh.
yeah, related to Theta. So they work in tandem. You don't have to buy both, but they're both doing pretty well right now. And I think they have good long term prospects. So that's my hot crypto
Ooh.
tip.
Do you think Elon is
Yeah.
just like a government insider, like sent to fuck it all up?
Oh, well, I mean, I just thought that he was trying to get the price down so that he could buy several $billion more before
Hmm.
it goes back up again. I don't know what his intentions are, but it seems like he kind of enjoys being what we call a market mover. So he's like, I know if I just tweet some
Yeah.
cryptic little, like no one's going to really know what I'm saying. I'm just being coy about everything. Like he tweeted something about like breaking up with the hashtag Bitcoin, and then like Bitcoin crashed like 20% in one
Wow.
day or something. I think he just like part of his being
He's
Elon.
sassy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I love that I can just, cost people billions of dollars just with one little tweet. He's kind of got
Small
something.
penis energy.
Yeah, in a sense, he's like Trump on Twitter. It's like sometimes you just
Yeah.
wish he'd like just mute himself.
It's entertaining. What do you think what's the best casino?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. But if you just want like a high quality casino experience, it's hard to beat Aria.
Ooh.
Right in the middle of the strip.
Do you
It's
have any deals there? I'm thinking of
oh,
going to Vegas at the end of the month.
it's exquisite. Maybe when we're off, I can
Okay,
like
okay.
I can hook you up with my host out there or something.
Ooh.
I would recommend anytime you go to Vegas, even if you think you might just play like $100 on roulette, sign up for a player's card. Make sure that they get your name and your address, because sometimes even if you just play a tiny little bit of gambling, they might say, oh, well, this person came for the first time. We want to send her a deal where she'll come back and we'll give her 2 free nights or something like that, which can
Okay.
really save you a lot of money in the long run, especially if you don't really ever intend to gamble that much. They don't do huge comps for poker
That's
players
great.
because they don't make that much money off of poker compared with like slots or Keno or whatever kind of the big house advantage games are. But yeah, I mean, I get discounts at least on my rooms, especially during tournament times and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the Aria pool is amazing. All the restaurants there, they have a Carbone, which I don't know if you've ever been to the one here in New York, but Carbone is one of the finest restaurants in the world. They have the
Ooh.
same exact thing right there inside the Aria. Just great places to like sit and relax and have a drink or whatever. Yeah, it's first class all the way, as is the Venetian,
Okay, yeah.
another really nice hotel where all the rooms are suites. They have the little things that when you travel, like you normally wouldn't care about, but if you travel a lot, I just like being able to press a button and open the curtains.
Oh, yeah.
I love those electronic curtains. I mean, I would pay $100 a night extra just to not have to get out of bed to open the curtains and
Oh,
call
it's
room
you can
service.
reach it from
You
bed?
could just
Oh,
reach behind you,
wow.
press a button, and they all open. It's just gorgeous.
Okay, that's
Um,
really nice.
yeah, little things like that, or just I like having that extra space. So yeah, big fan of Venetian. I would never stay at Bally's on the Strip
That's
again.
where we stayed as a family when I was
Yeah,
growing up.
and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why, Chrissy. I actually got burglarized there. Yeah, I was
No.
staying at Bally's, and I came back to my room after a night of poker, and all my stuff was gone, and they just could not have cared less. They took my laptop,
Holy
my
shit.
passport. They got a lot of stuff. Everything that wasn't locked in the safe, they got, and they cared about was limiting their own liability. They wouldn't even call the
Damn.
police for me. I had to call the police
That's
myself.
horrible.
Yeah, and they just didn't care. I sent letters. I told them what happened. I talked about it constantly on my podcast. Had hundreds, literally hundreds of poker players retweeting my message about not going to ever stay at Bally's again. And
Wow. When was this? How many years ago?
this was like three or 4 years ago, not that long ago.
Damn.
Yeah, the worst property ever. So yeah, try to avoid Bally's. They don't have good security. They didn't have cameras in the hallways. There was no footage of the people going into my room.
Which makes me think, what if it's the staff?
It could be. Maybe it's an
Yeah.
inside job, especially because they really didn't have any interest in helping me. And I'm a pretty regular visitor to Vegas. I mean, I'm a
Wow.
professional poker player. You'd think they would want my business. I have a poker podcast. Do you really want me talking trash about your casino for thousands of people every week?
And now I'm
Apparently
going
they
to talk
did.
trash about Bally's till the end of time.
Yeah, screw Bally's. That's my life's mission. I would like to see that place go out of business.
Good. I remember staying there as a kid. Like my mom loved Vegas, and yeah, because my brother lived there briefly years ago, and now my sister lives there. Yet yet now nobody in my family gambles except for, I guess, my sister's degenerate gambling husband. That's why they moved to Vegas. But we stayed at Bally's, and I just was like, I feel like this is the cheapest hotel
Yeah,
you
it's
could
pretty
get.
awful. It's
Yeah.
very smoky, not comfortable, bed bugs, just a terrible place. So yeah, stay at if you have the money, stay at Aria or Venetian. If you're looking for a lower priced budget property or whatever, Tropicana is
Hooters.
excellent.
I've stayed at Hooters.
Hooters is nice. Actually, Tropicana isn't bad. I haven't seen what they've done with the Hard Rock, but I always love staying there because I love the pool and I love I like the staff there when it was
Okay.
Hard Rock. I can't vouch for Mohegan Sun / Virgin or whatever it is now. I also like the fact that the porn convention might just happen to be in town on the weekend I'm there. So
Yeah, that's not bad. What are the best poker rooms?
yeah, so again, I'm gonna go Aria. The chairs are super comfortable. You can literally get anything
Ooh.
you want to drink at the table. The staff is extremely professional. They have good action. They offer every game at every stakes. They have a high limit room if you like to play for a lot of money. They also offer like $1, $2, like $100 buy-in game for the
Ooh.
less experienced players or people on a shorter bankroll. So yeah, absolutely cannot recommend Aria enough. Also
Wow.
Venetian, and especially my number one choice for poker in Vegas is the Wynn. It's a smaller room.
Ooh.
They don't have quite as many tables. They have unbelievable dealers, great staff. The rake is lower and the quality is very high. So the rake is the percentage that they take compared with some of the other properties. The Wynn is taking less money off the table every time, every hand. So that adds up over time as well. And they're pretty easy on the comps. Like if you play for a couple hours and you say, hey, can I go to the buffet or whatever, they'll hook you up. I'm not saying you're going to get a free night at the Wynn from playing poker, but every
Maybe
little
a
bit
lobster
counts.
tail. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a lobster tail or two, the kind of things people go to Vegas to enjoy. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend the Wynn.
Ooh, okay. Who has the worst comps? I guess the answer this question could be Bally all the
Yeah,
way
Bally
too.
sucks in every single possible way. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of the Caesars Entertainment properties are known for being a little bit stingier, maybe attracting a lower level of clientele. And what's funny about that is Caesars actually owns the World Series of Poker. So players who will spend the rest of the year avoiding places like Caesars and the Rio, they end up spending the whole summer at the Rio because that's just where the TV cameras and all the action is. So, but yeah, if it's not for some specific reason like that, you might want to stay away from places like the Flamingo and Caesars, Harrah's. They're all kind of in the in the same category.
So these seem like the older ones.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit, and they're not really keeping up with the fresh faces. They're kind of like trying to get the business. It seems to me like they're losing that. They did just merge with a company called El Dorado Gaming, so that could change kind of at least the public perception of Caesars a little bit. But I would just say wait and see for that, because who knows what El Dorado Gaming is actually going to do. So yeah.
Okay, so best comps sounds like Win, Aria, and then worst, obviously Bally, and then some of
Yeah,
the
and
older ones.
if you want to gamble, like play slots or roulette or something like that, you're actually better off going completely off the strip to a place like the Orleans, or
Oh
one of the.
wow, that's like
Or,
the oldest. Isn't that the oldest hotel?
it's an old one, and it's not like kind of on the main strip. It's a little bit out of the way. You have to get in an Uber or something to get there. But yeah, it tends to be worth it because just the slots will be looser, the comps will be real easy, and most of what they're trying to do is attract a local market. They don't expect people to like come from Idaho and be like, oh, I can't wait to go to the Orleans. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not glitz and glam. It's just like a place to go play. Um, Places like the Gold Coast or the station casinos. If you're going to gamble and you intend to bet a lot of money, you're actually better off going to those places than you are in what they would consider the tourist trap. The strip is like how us local New Yorkers never go to Times Square. The people that live
Yes.
in Vegas,
Yeah.
they don't really go to the strip, maybe for dinner, but that's about it.
Interesting. Interesting. What's the most? Well, we've heard about the most you've won. What's the most you've lost at either a pro tournament or a private game?
Yeah, so I guess my biggest loss would be around 27,000 in a cash game. I used to play in a private home game out in LA a lot. There'd be some names that you would recognize. I'm not going to share, but yeah, kind of like
Ooh!
actors and models and
Toby Maguire,
athletes and
Leo
stuff like that.
DiCaprio.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny, but yeah, I
Whoa,
never
that's
played in
cool.
Molly's game. Okay, that game was too
Okay.
big for me. But there are a lot of home games in Hollywood, and I used to, when I was out there a lot, I used to go there quite a bit, and I would always make sure to get myself invited to those games. They're really juicy, meaning a lot of the players have a lot of money and not a lot of skill, but that doesn't mean a guy like me can't take a beating once in a while. And I had a pretty unforgettable night at a celebrity's house out in LA.
Wow. Like
Yeah.
loss wise or
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man.
About it was something like 26,000, 27,000, something like that. Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
also won at those kind of games
Oh,
too?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I generally win, but yeah, some nights you keep getting the shaft.
Oh my God. And not in a fun way.
Yeah. Gambling's not for everyone. It's not the shaft you want to get.
And would they at the private games like right, I imagine it's like a super nice place and maybe they hire like
Oh
waitresses and they
yeah.
have snacks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Snacks, massages, whatever. Go dip in the pool if you want, that sort of thing. Like they kind of make it like a thing. One time I have to go, but one time I do want to tell you this quick. I won a tournament where it was a satellite. So the prize was a trip to the Playboy Mansion
Oh
to
my
play in a
God.
tournament there. I got to meet Hef
Wow.
and like 7 playmates of the year.
Do you remember any of their names? Like who they were?
Sarah Underwood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was there. I have the rest of them on a guitar that I won at the final table. So this was a charity event
That's
to
cool.
raise money for the firefighters' families because they were having like a lot of fires in California. A lot of firefighters lost their lives. So there's a fund that the Playboy Mansion sponsors, like charity events year round, basically. So yeah, I won a seat into this tournament. I ended up making the final table. First prize was a $10,000 buy-in to the World Series main event, the biggest tournament of the year. So I was really going after that, but I ended up getting third place out of like 300 players. And my prize
Damn.
was this really cool Gibson guitar autographed by Hef and 7 playmates of the year.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's one of my prized possessions.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that was a pretty
Send me a
special
photo
day.
of it.
Yeah, I will for sure. I have
That's
to,
cool.
yeah, send you a picture of that. You can put it on your website or whatever. But yeah, that was a pretty unforgettable experience. And then, of course, after the tournament's over, there's a live band playing, and we're all like swimming in the grotto.
Oh
I think
my
I'm
God.
not allowed to tell you the rest of that story because apparently there's some kind of
Ooh.
restriction on what happens in the grotto. So,
Did you just sign an NDA? That's neat.
yeah.
What happens in the grotto stays in the grotto.
Yeah, that's the policy. So
Yeah.
I'm going to adhere to that policy. But let's just say
Ooh.
it was a night I will never forget. So good times all around.
Damn, Clayton. Well, yeah, gambling does pay,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I can't recommend it to everyone. There's a lot of nights when you work for 12 hours and you go home with less money than you started with. That could happen for like a month. Like
Wow.
there's a downside to it. It's not like every night is a trip to the grotto. I wish it were, but it's if you can handle the ups and downs, it's kind of like being a crypto investor.
Hmm.
In the long run, you're likely to make money. So yeah, if you can handle it and you know what you're doing, you actually end up ahead, but you're going to have some rough patches along the way. So
Ooh.
not for
Wow.
everyone.
Cool. Cool. Clayton, where can people find you and follow you and listen to your poker podcast?
Yeah, sure. So we're on everything, wherever you download podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify or Stitcher, Tournament Poker Edge. You can listen to me talk about my poker adventures. There's a lot of pretty high level hand analysis, which maybe not everybody would be that interested in. But there's also like interviews with celebrity poker players like Norm Macdonald. I've opened for
Ooh.
him on the road. So Norm and I are friends, and he came on the podcast a couple times. Yeah, so there's some fun stuff too that some of your listeners might be attracted to. But yeah, Tournament Poker Edge. There's also a website where if you are interested in learning about how to play poker, it's pretty cheap. It's like $25 a month. You can basically get lessons from some of the best in the world on that site. So I'm kind of a spokesperson for them. But
Cool.
I was a customer before they asked me to be the podcast host. So I'm
Nice.
happy to promote them, and especially when a lot of the
Yeah.
sites are out there charging a fortune for the exact same thing. There's no reason to spend $500 a month on poker training. The information is out there, and we have it for a good price. So yeah, I'd love for people to check that out. And of course, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Venmo.
Yeah.
Clayton Comic. I'm Clayton Comic on everything. Keep it simple.
Oh yeah, and then I assume that's you have the nickname the Joker. I was reading in like
Yeah.
on your website, and I was like, oh, is that because you're a comedian or the mental illness? No.
Yeah. Yeah. The jury is out on that, but I think it has something to do with a deck of cards. I'm not sure.
Cool. Awesome. Clayton, thank you so much for coming on the pod. It's good to talk to you. Good to see you again.
You're so great, Chrissy. I love your podcast.
Oh,
I love your stand up. I think you're one of the funniest people working today. I'm such
stop.
you're a friend, but I'm also a serious fan of yours. So I really appreciate
Aw.
you having me on. I had a great time as always.
Thanks, Clayton. We'll have to plan a trip to the grotto soon or something.
You got it. I'll bring my guitar.
Yay.